Here in Australia, there are a lot of things that can kill a man. There are man-eating crocodiles, there are sharks that will take a bite out of you, there are venomous spiders, venomous octopus, venomous stingrays, venomous fish, there's venomous snakes. So they're really cool ways of dying, they're really awesome. Not like a namby-pamby sissy way of dying is if you're doing arts and craft and you die. You don't want to do that. So today I'm going to show you how to etch a lot safer than we used to do it. The way we used to do it was so deadly. But now, this is a safer way. Check this out.
I am the snake artist and my mission in life is to get people to appreciate art and wildlife. Okay, we're preparing a plate and the metal I've decided to use is aluminium, or as Americans would call it, aluminum. It's cheap and it's also very handy for making tones, as you're about to find out. And I degrease it with steel wool and a little bit of soy sauce. Now what we used to use, and some printmakers still do, is ground, which is like bitumen and wax, and you have to melt it over a hot plate, and so you're getting fumes up in your lungs. It really just stuffs you up. And not only that, you need some solvents or at least turps to get it off the plate when you want to clean the plate off. So what I'm using instead is shellac mixed with methylated spirits. Now methylated spirits is about the nastiest chemical we're going to use in this whole etching program. Another ground you can use is oil-based blocking. You can roll that on nice and smoothly. It's really good for making marks, but unfortunately you need to use a lot of turps to get it off. The safer way would be to use an acrylic ground. You can buy these acrylic grounds commercially, or you can use a floor polish. They are safer, but I find it's very hard to push the needle through. It sort of scrapes and it's really hard. And so that's why I've gone for shellac. I now mark out my design. The shellac's quite soft for a while. If you leave it months, it's going to get hard, but at the moment it's quite soft. After I've scratched it out, I back the plate with usually a bit of contact. Because it's a small plate, I'm using a couple of strips of packing tape. Now what I'm going to use to etch this is copper sulfate that you can get from a gardening shop, and cooking salt, which you can get from the supermarket. What I used to use is nitric acid. Nitric acid will stuff your lungs right up. Much rather play with venomous snakes any day than to mess with this stuff. So here's my copper sulfate mixed with salt, mixed with plenty of water. And now you lower your plate nice and gently. Oh, you stupid fat! What I like about this is you still feather off the bubbles just like you would as if you're etching with acid. And the whole thing wipes off with a bit of methylated spirits. Soaking the paper, putting the paper into some blotting paper. I'm using Safe Wash ink because I can just wash it out with water. I scrape it on with something like a credit card, plastic card of some sort, try and get into the grooves. Then I dab it in with a tarlatan, just sort of like a stiff cheesecloth. Next I get a clean piece of tarlatan, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a jellyfish. Now some people sort of say we're making a mushroom, but we're not. We're making a jellyfish, because jellyfish are cool. I love jellyfish. Yay, jellyfish! Yay, You flatten out the top of the jellyfish, then you use that to give the plate a bit of a wipe. Then you get some pages from the phone book, rip it up, and you use that to wipe off the surface. So I'm just doing a nice flat hand wipe to clear off the surface ink so the ink's still stuck in all those little grooves. And it's the ink that's in the grooves which is going to print. Print! And here we go. Let's see what we've got. And there's our etching of a diver, and that's how etching's done. Ah, but wait, there's more. What about the tones, I hear you say? We can put tones on this. This is how we do an aquatint. Back in the bad old days, we used to use rosin. Now rosin is this sort of like, sort of crystally stuff that, well, it's like a resin that you break up, you smash it up into tiny little dust particles, you sort of sprinkle those dust particles all over your plate, and that is a real hazard to your lungs right there. And then you stick it on a hot plate and you heat it up, which puts in more chemicals up into the air, which again you're breathing in. And to add to that, this rosin, it's much more flammable than even methylated spirits. So what I'm using is I've gone back to a little bit of shellac. Now, just like for those who do aqua tint, it's just like doing an aqua tint. But what we're doing is we're using, again, the shellac. We're painting on the white bits first, the bits you want to be the lightest. Then we put it in the etching fluid, and then we pull it out, we paint the bits that we want light grey. Pop it back into the etching fluid again, give it a good feather. Every time I do this, I'm only leaving it in for about 30 seconds, then I pull it out and I put probably the mid greys. When that dries, it goes back into the copper sulfate, it comes out, and then next I do the darker greys, and it keeps going. So I start off with a really light, almost white, and each time it goes to a darker and darker grey. Again, wipe it off with a bit of methylated spirits. I use the methylated spirits where I've got strong extraction fans, or I use it outside in very small doses. So my studio doesn't stink of methylated spirits. Again, scrape on the ink. Rub the ink in. Make a jellyfish. Yay, jellyfish! Foldable paper. Add dampened paper. Print. Yay, there it is with tones. Tones and tones and tones. But wait, there's more. What you can do, in this case what I've done is I've just shellacked in the diver. I can scratch into that now, or I can just drop it in, and that's going to soften the background a little bit. Or I might just shellac the whole plate. And when that dries, I could scrape out a few bits. And I could pipe it in the copper sulfate just for a little while, and that'll give me soft little lines, little grey lines. Or I could get the burnisher out, and I could burnish away areas to make them whiter. This print should be similar but subtly different. And again, see, there you have tones. Tones with printmaking, because the aluminium has a grain and just an open bite will give you those nice tones.
So there you go, that's a safer way to do your printmaking. So now you're not going to die printmaking. Now you can go out and swim in the ocean and get eaten by a shark. I'll see you later.